The accused slayer of a 10-year-old Owasso girl was arraigned in district court today. 20-year-old Timothy Herman is charged with the October 23rd strangulation death of Tammy Michelle Moody. Herman was a janitor at the elementary school where Tammy was last seen alive. He led police to her body. At the arraignment, Herman's attorneys argued that his arrest was unlawful because police did not have probable cause to arrest him. They contended at the time Herman was taken to the sheriff's office for questioning, investigators didn't even know a crime had been committed, and all the evidence was inadmissible. They also argued against making the case a capital offense. The district attorney has said that he will seek the death penalty because the crime was particularly heinous, cruel, and atrocious. But the attorneys say the law does not spell out what constitutes a heinous crime. Judge Dalton overruled both defense motions. Herman did not enter a plea, but the trial date has been set for March 20th.
This is Barnes Elementary School right here in Owasso, Oklahoma. We're just about a few minutes away, if that. We're right on the border with Tulsa, right over there beyond that tree line. And on October 23rd, 1978, this is where Tammy Moody was dropped off at school, probably a little bit before 8 a.m. right at this elementary, and her parents, both worked in Tulsa, would commute to their jobs. And unfortunately here worked a disgusting human being by the name of Timothy Lester Herman. And this is where that despicable crime occurred. Originally, as the detectives were conducting a citywide search for Tammy, her parents had told the detectives that quite possibly she had ran away from home. So originally, when they were looking for her, they were just looking for a runaway child. I don't know why the parents would have said that. Possibly they had an argument with her. Maybe she was upset, or maybe they just didn't want to face the realization that something awful and terrible had occurred to her. And as the detectives are conducting their investigation, they're talking to everybody who works at the school, they start zeroing in on Timothy Herman. And a couple reasons why is, well, number one, a couple of the teachers on that morning had seen Timothy with some kind of a object wrapped in a plastic bag. One seen him in the basement with it, and then the other seen him by a pickup truck with this object wrapped in a plastic bag. Now, detectives, they did, whatever detectives do in terms of trying to find out a little bit about the person's character. They start talking to former employers, neighbors, friends, associates, all of that in the third. And surprisingly enough, from what I'm reading about him, was that he was well liked. He was a regular kid, guy, whatever, didn't set off any kind of bad vibes, bad thoughts. From what I read, nobody said anything bad about him or his character. The only thing I found was that the family where they lived, they weren't the neatest of people, and they would sometimes have like these junk cars and objects in the yard, because I guess the father of Timothy was some kind of a tinkerer or a mechanic. So that's the only negative thing that I could find about the family, but I believe the father to have some kind of a bad disposition for a quote that he had said about suing the city because he felt that his kid was entrapped. So there you go with that. And so as they start talking to him again, they said, yeah, a couple teachers, they told us that they seen you with an object that was wrapped in a plastic bag. What is that? And he says, oh, that was a dead dog. Yeah, a dog came into the basement and died. So I dumped the dog. And they said, okay, well, why don't you take us to where this dead dog is? And he says, sure, I could do that. And so he takes them to North Tulsa, not very far away from here, because this is kind of North Tulsa. We're right on the border. And they're just in this barren hillside area. They're just like looking around, looking for this dead dog. And I don't know how long they were there, but one of the detectives finally, he just says, look, I've had enough of this. Timothy, there is no dead dog. There's no dead dog. I know you killed this little girl. We want the baby's body back. And Timothy looks down, he looks at his shoes, and he gets this semi-upset look on his face. And he says, quote, "I didn't mean to kill her," unquote. And I'm sure they tell him, okay, of course we know that you didn't mean to kill her. Just tell us where she is so we can just finally end this, so we can give the family some closure. And he takes them to her body. The same plastic bag that he lied about wrapping this dead dog in was the same plastic bag that was actually used to wrap up the body of Tammy Michelle Moody. This is her grave right here. He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. And originally, the district attorney was going for the death penalty in this case. I don't know why, but he ended up being convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, where he died in 2001. From what I read on this case, I don't know why he killed that little girl. I didn't see anything. I didn't see any evidence that this was a sexual-based crime. Nothing at all. His only excuse that I could find was that he somehow or another got startled and lashed out and killed her. And I do remember now that I mentioned that in one of the articles that I read online, that a former employer did say that he was, even though he was congenial, that he was kind of jumpy. Like, that's what I remembered about him. He was always like easily spooked. Well, he's dead now, so who cares? He ain't around to hurt anybody anymore. Rest in peace, my dear. Okay, guys. Lamont signing out. I'm hitting the road. I'll catch up with you later. Have a good one.